Hey everybody, it's ShadowStar here, and I'm going to be starting my reviews for the Pokemon anime. So this episode will only cover Ash's journey through Kanto. I will eventually do an episode for Orange Islands, Johto, and everything else, but just Kanto for now. Because recently I've been going through the anime and I thought, you know what? Let's do some reviews. So, no better way to start off the review than starting with Ash himself. And in the Kanto League, this is obviously Ash at his dumbest. Now, that goes without saying. I can forgive it because it's his first journey. You can see him learning, but he does make a lot of dumb mistakes along the way. The biggest problem so far, though, is that in this region, Ash seems to treat training like it's a chore, whereas later regions, Ash will actively train with his Pokemon, teach his Pokemon moves and strategies, whereas here, he barely trains. Most of his battles are either quick or a bit of a fluke or just some dumb luck, and some are just getting it for free. He rarely has a battle that's actually intense, except maybe one. So, yeah, and the other problem is his team is so unbalanced. Now, yes, we can all remember Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charizard, and Pikachu, but can you name a defining characteristic about Pidgeotto? You can't. Other than the fact that he can blow away Wheezing Smokescreen and his final episode, there's nothing significant about Pidgeotto. And then you've got his other Pokemon. His Krabby and his Muck never get used outside their first episode except for one battle in the Pokemon League. And his Tauros, it never gets to have a single battle in the Kanto League. It makes one cameo when they're at Oak's lab, but that's about it. And due to some issues, we don't even see its first episode. So he just has Pokemon that he's neglecting. And then you got the fact that he had a Primeape, which seemed like a cool Pokemon, but he just gives away 3 episodes later and it never had a significant battle outside the episode which it was given away in. Either way, that's Ash's team. It's mismatched, it's unbalanced, and that's the way it is. And Ash himself, it's quite different seeing the Ash now compared to the Ash we know later. Speaking of characters, we have to talk about Misty. Now, with Misty, the thing is, okay, obviously everyone loves Misty. She's overrated. And I can understand that. And she does have her nice moments, but she comes across as annoying for the most part. Now, yes, she does have some good lines sometimes when she's arguing against Ash or maybe Brock or Team Rocket. But the problem with Misty and Brock, compared to later protagonists, is they don't have an easily defined goal. They don't have anything to do. Ash is going for the gym battles, and Misty just kind of follows them around. She doesn't have any goals or anything to make her noteworthy, other than the fact that sometimes she can make a joke, and her annoying jokes can get annoying. Psyduck is one of the most recurring jokes she has is Psyduck, and honestly, it gets annoying. I wish it would evolve, which I'll bring up when we get to the Orange Islands. But, yeah, and speaking of Brock, he's just as forgettable. He's mainly there for them to fall back on and be the parent of the group. He has the running joke, which sometimes is funny, but sometimes just gets old very fast, but honestly, he doesn't have much other references. He does have some good moments. Like I said, he's the adult of the group in the sense that he takes care of them and the Pokemon because he's a breeder, but that's about it. Now let's get on to the better characters. The Team Rocket Trio. Now, the Team Rocket Trio, on one hand, they've got a lot of good comedy, and they're some of the more defined characters for being quote-unquote villains. They're the more defined characters, and honestly, when they actually get spotlight episodes, you always enjoy their episodes. They're characters where, when they're not just being the comic relief villain, they have some really good episodes, and they honestly have better character building than any of the main characters. It's weird that a show would give more attention and empathy to someone who's supposed to be the villains, but our heroes. But that's what makes them the great characters. The only downside is their characters are still being defined. It's still early days, and Jessie doesn't have too much other than she's got a little bit of vanity. James doesn't have too much other than being bitten by Victory Bell. And Meowth doesn't have too much other than that one spotlight episode, which I'll get to, but their personalities are still being defined. Later seasons will be a lot better with showing us James's good side, Jesse's side in contest, Meowth's side, and so on. Whereas here, they're still trying to figure out what their roles are, who does what, and so on. Now, let's talk about the downside of this region, the gym battles. More than half of Ash's gym battles are a waste. He doesn't win them legitimately. Let's go in order. First, you've got Brock's gym. We all know he sprays the water on Onyx, and it's not a proper win. He doesn't win through his own skill. Also, getting to the gym leaders, have you ever noticed? Go watch that first episode with Brock. While Brock, as a character outside the gym, as Ash's friend, is fine, go watch the episode. Brock's kind of a dick when he's the leader. Maybe he's putting on a persona because he's the leader, but he's kind of a dick. He's just mean to Pikachu and calls Ash an idiot, although, to be fair, he is. Yeah, but hey, that's one gym. Then you got Misty, who the battle was looking exciting, but then, oh no, Team Rocket interrupted. And then the gym gets interrupted, they save the gym, and then he gets a badge for free. And then, okay, you've got Lieutenant Surge, one of the few gyms which are actually a legitimate win. He gets his ass handed to him, he has to take a moment to think about it, then he tries again, and he wins. It's one of the few times he loses, and you get these every so often with gym battles, and it's actually one of the good ones. I will give compliments to the Lieutenant Surge battle. Although, speaking of gym leaders, compared to later regions, good or for better or for worse, the gym leaders also have memorable personalities. Even if their gyms are sometimes stupid, they have memorable personalities. You remember Lieutenant Surge. Who can remember some of the Johto gym leaders? But anyway, moving on to Erica. Oh, it's a lot like the Cerulean gym. They have a decent battle, but it gets interrupted. Team Rocket does something, they save the gym, and Ash gets a free badge. Then you've got Sabrina. They spent 3 episodes trying to beat her. Sabrina just is one of the weirdest leaders where she's just this psychopathic child, which seems like a cool idea, and I compliment Kanto for trying weird things, which, believe me, that's the one thing it has. It tries a lot of weird things. But again, no legitimate battle. Haunter doesn't fight. It makes her laugh. Ash gets a pity badge, and that's the end of that. Then you've got Koga. Koga is actually one of the rare ones. He has a battle, it gets interrupted, but then he has a repeat battle and he wins it. The only problem is that repeat battle happens so fast it's almost forgettable. But hey, at least it's a decent battle. It's one of the 3 battles Ash legitimately wins. Speaking of actually good battles, we have to talk about Blaine. Blaine is one of the better ones. Ash has a battle, gets his ass handed to him, then Team Rocket messes stuff up and they help out. And Ash even jokes, oh, now you're gonna give me the badge? No, he says, I'll give you a rematch. And we get one of the better, probably only decent Pokemon battle in Kanto with Ash, Charizard versus Magmar. It's one of the few battles, and it goes to show the good battles they'll come to have in later seasons. But honestly, for now, that's about the only battle. And then, of course, you've got the Giovanni. Now, I will give compliments to the fact that the Giovanni gym battle, well, not Ash's battle, but Giovanni's gym, does set up some foreshadowing for the first movie, and it is cool to see that, including extra scenes that weren't in the movie. The downside is Giovanni goes off, the Team Rocket trio show up, and Ash has to fight them. And it has a cool premise with them both feeling the pain of their Pokemon, which feels like something like a shadow game in Yu-Gi-Oh! But Ash overpowers them in about 3 seconds because they start to cheat, and then he gets a badge falling from the sky. So, yeah, he only really won 3, Lieutenant Surge, Koga, and Blaine. That's the gyms for you. And if you're expecting more disappointment, let's talk about the league. Oh god, what a mess the league was. So, the build-up for the league was actually good. You finally felt like we're getting somewhere. And I do like the world building. By that I mean, when we arrive at the league, we get to see, it's more than just battles. You get to see like where the trainers live, the details of how it functions, and in a sense, I like seeing that built up. The downside is, first off, Throughout these episodes, you'll see Ash meet many, many one-off characters who are like, oh, I'll meet you in the Pokemon League. And he never does. Wouldn't it be better to have those characters show up instead of one-off characters with a Bellsprout or this other magic dude? Oh well, so we get a decent fight. We get the first fight with Krabby, which Krabby somehow overpowers anyone, which is just stupid. Then you get Mark, who somehow overpowers a Bellsprout. Alright, that was a good battle. Then they skip 2 of his 4 battles, only showing us a segment of it. This is annoying because A, we've already had some filler, and B, we have filler in the league with them having to worry about Team Rocket. But that's not the worst of it. Then you've got Richie, a trainer who you think, okay, Ash has made a friend, he's going to have to battle, it's a cool idea. And then Team Rocket ruins it. He spends half the episode being tormented by Team Rocket, then he finally gets there, and Charizard ruins the match. This is how Ash loses? Ah, it's just... Kanto, you're such a mess in so many places. I mean, I know Ash loses later leagues, but at least usually when he at least loses with dignity. This was just stupid. And why? What? Look, Team Rocket. I like Team Rocket, okay? But not when they're interrupting moments. Team Rocket should stay out of gym battles and out of the league. Later seasons will again keep Team Rocket out from interfering with the league. They're off doing their own thing. Oh, I didn't even mention Gary. Throughout the show, they tease Gary as a rival, but he shows up like 3 times. Once in the beginning, once in a Diglett episode, once at Oak's lab, and then at the league. But he didn't actually face Ash in the league. Throughout the entire Kanto journey, they never battle. They never battle. I didn't expect Ash to win, because when we finally do get the big battle, it's amazing, but that's not in Kanto. In Kanto, Ash and Gary never battle. Sure, he's ahead of Ash, but that's about it. Look, Kanto does have some good qualities though. The pacing. Because Kanto only takes place in about a season and a half, the pacing is actually quite good. There's very little filler, and the filler we do have is actually often quite memorable. Because the pacing is well balanced. There's usually a decent amount of time between each badges. I'd say the biggest gap is maybe the gap between Koger and Blaine's gym, but even that's not too big of a gap because we do stuff like evolve Charmander, find Togepi, and have some other stuff. So, throughout this, we also, besides, even though they're kind of filler, we also have a few fun things, like what I'm going to call mini arcs. We've got Ash training for the league, although he doesn't actually train. Once he gets back to Palatown, he has several months before the league actually starts. And it has this kind of fun idea for about 9 or so episodes. He's at Palatown, or around Palatown, and you get to see different things, and it's nice to see them sitting in the same setting for a while. I kind of like that. I don't want them in the same setting forever, but I like when they stay in the same setting for just a little bit. It leads you to get to know things a bit better. The downside is, as I said, he's supposed to be training, but the entire joke of this arc is he spends the 9 episodes saying, I'm going to train. Oh, look, this interesting plot about a gloom. Let's go to the Seafoam Islands. Let's make a movie. Although that was a fun episode. He doesn't train. So, yeah, but it was still a nice little arc, even though Ash never trained. Then you got the SSN arc, probably one of the most memorable multi-part episodes. You've got the episode where they're on the SSN, which is the first time we see Team Rocket outside of the main 3 we're used to. Then you've got the episode where it's a Poseidon adventure type episode, which again, one of the most memorable episodes. Like I said, Kanto knows how to make weird, interesting episodes that later seasons just won't do. They try and... In some ways, it's often more grounded in some ways. Like, you'd never get the SSN escape episode in a later season. It'd be too, I don't know, maybe dark for later seasons? But yeah, they often, even though they don't show death, they do... It does feel a lot more grounded or darker in Kanto. And then you've got our first minor recurring travelling companion in Todd Snap. Occasionally Ash and his people will meet somebody who travels with them for a few episodes. This time we have got Todd Snap a forgettable character, but he does have some good episodes. They're not about him, the episodes he's in are good, like the Breeding Center Secret, and of course the Ultimate Test with the Jigglypuff scene from above. Both good episodes, and Todd Snap, hey, it's nice to have an extra crew member, although he doesn't do anything. He's mostly there to promote the fact that Pokemon Snap is out. Now, like I said, Kanto, it has most of its filler episodes are actually distinctive. Filler is defined as an episode where Ash doesn't participate in a gym, a Pokemon League, there's no contest, no one catches or evolves a Pokemon, nothing happens. You can essentially skip an episode. But here's the thing, although some episodes fit into that category, they're actually really good episodes, and with really memorable characters. First off, you've got Pikachu's Goodbye. Everybody remembers this episode. It's the episode that made some people get emotional. It's a fun episode, and again, it's nice to see them do episodes like this, even though it's technically a filler. Another episode I like is Eve battling Eevee brothers. Maybe just because Eevee's cute, but hey, it's a fun, memorable episode. I may be pointing this out, but it's because in later seasons, like Johto, most of the filler episodes are so forgettable I couldn't even name them. Whereas in Kanto, I can name most of the episodes, whether they're filler or not. And even if I don't, throughout it, I've never forgotten. I've never gotten to an episode and thought, what's this episode? I know them. Like, say, the Ditto episode where we meet Duplica, another memorable character. And speaking of the movie episode, they're making a movie is fun, but the second episode that follows is one of the best episodes in the Kanto episodes. It's Go West Young Meowth. One of the best Kanto episodes where we stop focusing on the Ash people and go focus on Meowth. And boy, is it a good episode. You get to see Meowth's backstory, how he learns to talk. Everyone knows that episode. And honestly, again, it just shows how good Team Rocket are as characters too, because they come to help Meowth. And hey, I have to give credit. They only use it twice, but I have to give credit to the Team Rocket song. I don't mean their motto, I mean the song. They try it a few times and it's so fun. Then you've got weird episodes. They're not bad, but it's just kind of weird. You've got really bizarre episodes like Chansey Operation, which has really stupid things like the Doctor and really dumb situations. Speaking of dumb situations, you have the Kangaskhan Kid. If you want weird episodes, though, you've got the Pokemopolis episode, where a giant Alakazam and a giant Gengar fight, and then a giant Jigglypuff puts them to sleep. Everyone remember that episode? Told ya, Kanto likes to try weird things. You'd almost never get those episodes in later seasons. Or how about the Ghost of Maiden's Peak, where we have a talking Ghastly who summons an actual mongoose, or fuses a Blastoise and a Venusaur. Again, really weird things happen in Kanto, and they're just filler episodes. At least the filler episodes, although some are good and some are bad, they're memorable. Now, I'm not usually going to bring this up, but Kanto is rife with censorship, banned episodes, and weird changes. Now, in terms of banned episodes, we all know things like the Beach episode, the Porygon episode, the Tauros episode. This leads to dumb things. Some of these are all understandable, but then there's things like, okay, now we've never seen where Ash gets his Tauros. And then you got weird dub changes. Kanto does it the most, where they do things like rename rice balls, or other weird dub changes. Again, they get better at this in later seasons where they won't change the names, or even in some episodes they do call them rice balls, and other episodes they don't. Or they'll just edit out the rice ball. It's really weird, but Kanto seems to do it the most. But that's Kanto for you. It's, on one hand, it's got memorable episodes. I can't deny that. And it does have good Team Rocket stuff. On the other hand, Misty and Brock are a bit bland. Ash is kind of stupid at times, although at least it's his first journey, so I can accept that. And honestly, a lot of things like the gyms and the league, which should be serious moments, are treated like jokes and forgotten. It's really such a mess. I'm only forgiving of it because I like to say that each journey is a learning experience for the writers. Later seasons will get better at handling gym battles and the league way better. Like, go look at Johto and Hoenn. Every gym battle is legit. Every league is exciting and interesting. I will be praising those when we get to them. But Kanto itself, Oh boy, is it a mess. There's just so many dumb things. And Ash's Pokemon have no personality. Okay, Charizard's kind of got a personality. Squirtle maybe a little bit. Pikachu's got an odd personality. Like, okay, Pikachu's a lot more of a dick in the early seasons. But other than that, yeah. Kanto, it's a mess, but it's got some really memorable moments. Nobody forgets the Kanto episodes. That's the only positive thing. It's got good pacing and memorable episodes, but it's got bad stuff like just really messing up the league and the gyms. But anyway, following up from Kanto, he's going to be heading to the Orange Islands, and I will be reviewing that very soon. So stay tuned for my Orange Islands review. See you next time.